So, who's more stubborn? The lines, the creases, the defects on a comic book, or you? So yeah, this is a series of clips here that of me trying to press, and I ended up trying to clean. Actually, this is Destroyer Duck #1. If you're not familiar with this book, that's the first appearance of Gru the Wanderer, and that was a book that caught some heat towards the end of 2021. I found a copy on Mile High Comics, ordered it, and when I was grading it after the unboxing, I was about to write the 9.8 on the back and thought I had discovered some lost or hidden treasure, and I ended up tilting the book toward the light, and the book caught all kinds of defects in the light. And to me, it was a book that had been traced. It looked like there were just these lines that were going down. And I have a number of books that I traced as a kid that I kept, and I just assign whatever grade I want to the books, honestly, a 4, 5, or 6. It doesn't matter because they're just books from my childhood. I've traced them. It's all part of my collecting journey and my story. And that story is depressed into the cover of those comics. So when I got a book like that from Mile High, my first thought was to contact them and say, listen, I have a book that was clearly traced and I can show you all the evidence and see what they would do. But then on the other hand, I'm like, looking at all other aspects of the book, it looks to be a really strong copy and a 9.8 candidate. But what I didn't realize is just how difficult it is, or near impossible it is, to get those tracing lines and defects off of the book. So I hope you enjoy this journey. You will find that I discover other problems with the book that I didn't expect to find, and kind of what I did. And then, you can kind of make a final assessment when I show you the final results of the book. So, again, this is a pressing journey from grading the book all the way through my final attempt. So at some point, just like with art, it's never really finished. It's just kind of done. And at this point, you can just continually press a book, but it just has to be done. And the grade and the condition, really whatever you assign to the book, finally, it is what it is. And ultimately, a professional grader would do the same, and it's kind of done. So I hope you enjoy these clips. I would certainly love some feedback in the comments on any of the techniques that I used, what you thought about the process, and what would you do with a book that's been traced. I have received feedback around like a steel ball and just going through and continually rolling the ball on the cover. But do you even mess with a cover that's been traced? When you see the tracing, do you just say no? I certainly have an opinion now, but I'll let you watch the clips and let me know what you think. So here we go. Hey there. So I have decided to press this book. This is Destroyer Duck #1, first appearance of Gru the Wanderer. And if you saw me unbox this comic out of a recent order, you will remember the condition it was in. But just as a reminder and a refresher, let's take a look a little bit more closely at the problem. So at first glance, it looks perfectly fine. It looks like a really great copy. But if I pick the book up and start to angle it, you'll see here as I get it into the light for you, all of those wrinkles. There you go, right around the price. And this goes up and down the book. So it's right there, you can see by his pants, that guy right there, and so on. So the front is super, super wrinkly. There's like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 lines that just go up and down this book. So what I'm going to do is I am simply going to put this through this era of book. This is technically bronze, 1982. So I'm going to go ahead and put it through a Bronze Age press in hopes to get it out. And I'll zoom in here just a little bit just so you can see why I'm pressing this book. Again, just minor, subtle defects there. A little bit of discoloration right in there. Nothing the press can do about that. But the spine looks really, really great. I don't see really any issues there. Corner looks okay. So just giving you an overall look at the book here before it goes into the press. And again, I'm primarily just trying to get all of those wrinkles out. But what's very interesting is if you look at this book sort of face down right here, book looks great, looks fine. So I'm going to get this book ready for the press, and let's see how we do. All right, we're back. So this book stayed in the press overnight, in fact. So all in all, probably in this heat press for a total of 24 hours. That was after a 15-minute heat press, and the rest of it was sitting in the cold press. So I'm very anxious to see. I did not apply any humidity to this book, and the cover had all of those waves that you saw. So my theory is let's skip the humidity, especially because the spine was intact, and just give it that standard heat press without the humidity. So let's take a look and see how it turned out. Okay, so I remembered to put all parts of the sandwich in there, including the plate, which is probably my typical mistake, is I forget to put that plate on the very top. And I'll remove the first set of SRP and the magazine backing board. All right, here we go. So I don't even want to take the book out yet. I want to just see if I can tell from the light and shadows here. Yeah, I got to start sliding it out, so I'm just very curious. I don't see those waves anymore, so it looks pretty good. Spine looks nice still. I think the only issue I'm going to have is that if CGC or anybody is going to call that color break. So I'm going to very gently try and do this one-handed. Grab the book and sit it down here. So I've still got it in the sandwich, and I'm going to move this over for more detailed inspection. But actually, after looking at it, it looks like, I don't know, it's like some of the waves came out and then some of them didn't. So that one's, I may have to just go ahead and press it again and not even mess with it. And I may turn it over this time. So that's interesting. So, well, I don't want to pick it up necessarily and start moving it around. It has to be pressed again. But I think what I'm trying to figure out as I move it in and out of the light is some of the waves, like up in this area, are gone, and then others are still there, particularly right down here on that side, which you can see right by the price. A little bit up there as well, but not too bad. Let me see. Yeah, I was trying to see if I could get a better angle here for you, but basically there are very subtle remnants of the original creasing on the cover. So I think it just needs to be pressed again. So I'll take some additional photographs here, but I'm just going to leave it as is in the sandwich. Fire up the press. I'm going to flip it over this time just to kind of get both sides and see if we can get all of those stubborn defects out that are on that cover. I do believe that once we get that, we should be good to go. But yeah, the creases are just really stubborn. And then if need be, I could just apply a very, very light mist of humidity if I just can't get that those waves out. But anyway, back to the press. All right, welcome back. So this is the aftermath of the second press. So what I ended up doing is I took the book, I took my portable steamer and gave the book just a little bit of humidity. Like I just literally took the book and held it up to the steam and just kind of gave it a once over, maybe moved it back and forth once or twice and then moved it out. And the second thing I did was I turned the book over in the press. Now, this book has been in the press for, I want to say, about 8.5, almost 9 hours. So it was a 15-minute press, heat press, and then it sat for the additional 8 to 9 hours. So let's open this up. And you'll see as I start to take this apart that I ended up putting the book face down, and I wanted to see the difference if it was able to get more heat. So one of the things that I think about is, so this is a pad down here. It's hard to tell on video. You can see some of the dirt and things here. So that's the pad. And the plate down here, I leave that on the heat press as it's warming up. So when I open this guy up, the top part up here, that is a plate and it's very hot. But down here, this plate is also very hot. Now, when I put everything on top and then put this on top, this is cold. So the only thing I can think of is sometimes these books I'm laying face up thinking, well, the most damage is on the top of the book, so this is going to be hot. But I feel like there's some sort of hot and cold thing going on, and I bet this plate heats up really fast and then distributes the heat evenly and so forth over the book. But down on the bottom, the only thing between the book and the heat generated from the plate on the bottom is the thin magazine backer and the SRP. So let's see if my theory holds up as I undo this, which is while you are generating some heat from the top plate in the press, what I'm wondering is if you get a little bit of extra, especially right at first if the book is face down. So that's the back of the book. I didn't really see any issues with the back going in, so I think we're good there anyway. So it's time to turn this over and see what we got. So I will typically slide this off. I'm worried about the book catching if I just take, slide it this way and the comic will catch on the pad. So I usually just, these are one and dones for me, the SRP, so I don't mind just being kind of rough with them, but I'll slide it this way and not slide it all the way off and have it fall. And here we go. I'm actually just gonna, just because I want to, I'm gonna lay that down there if I want to put the book down. Okay. Now the moment of truth, I'm gonna turn this over and plop it down right there and start to examine it. And I'm gonna have to get into the light here and see. This may not be the best angle, so I may have to record this on my desk. But it looks pretty good. Again, trying to get you some light there, but I'm going to move this to the desk where I can really use the overhead lighting and show you how this book turned out. But my fingers are crossed. This looks pretty good. All right, so here's the book on the desk, and I can already tell as soon as I put the book down and got the overhead light in, I'm going to angle the light right in here. You'll start to see the creases start to reappear here. And they're so subtle, so hard to catch. Now, I think that for the most part, and can I even catch them in the light for you? Yeah, so right in here, there's one. Right there, see? So, yeah. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. I think it's getting better. But do I keep adding humidity? Do I keep pressing it? And I feel like there's the other one. They're just so stubborn. So those are the two pretty bad ones, and it goes all the way up. They're so stubborn. So stubborn. Now, I don't believe that I'm damaging the book, but I do almost want to redo the sandwich again just to let the book breathe a little bit, and maybe just slightly get a different angle, on these guys here. The sides and everything look fine. The staples are looking fine. It's such a beautiful copy and a gorgeous copy aside from the little bit of color rub there, that I'm just determined to get this one right. And it's just going to take a little bit more work. I am concerned a little bit with how the book and the page is kind of lifting up here, kind of on its own. I don't think that's going to be a big problem, but I do want to make sure that I leave it in the press long enough so it doesn't start to wrinkle or revert back. But it is better there was a crease right there, right in here on Destroyer Duck's pants, and I can't even get it in the light. Let's see if I can get it right up in there. So right in there, it's just a faint memory. So I feel like it's getting better every time, and this is part of what I'm experiencing with pressing books is you get a little impatient. Like I want the book to be pressed and be done with. I'd like to start pressing other books. I will have worked on this book for, after tomorrow, be 3 days. And then it's like I see something like that. So that's the crease going all the way down here, all the way down to about right there. And it is getting better, but it's still there. So I'm going to have to give it humidity again. And I don't know if putting the book face down mattered. To me, it looks about the same. But overall, I think the book is holding up well. I think it just needs to go in one last time. And I may actually increase the pressure a little bit just to get it some additional heat and pressing. So I'm going to give it one more round of steam, one more press, and then I'm hoping that third time is the charm. Okay, so I stepped away to put this book through the portable steamer and get it ready for the press. And I just thought I would open it to see kind of what, just make sure everything's holding up. And check this out. So when I opened it, look at all these lines. So there's no line on the paper. I took, I think it's this one here. So I took it out of here, and this is super clean. So this was the page from the inside cover. So I know there was nothing on the actual cardstock. So these lines, you can kind of see them all the way up there. I feel like the front cover was written on. And I don't know if this is ink or pencil or what, but that is why I'm having a hard time with those lines. Is it was almost as if it were traced. Now the book wasn't traced, but there was definitely something on top here that at some point somebody wrote on it, and then it looks like it bled through. So this one's really tough because it's not, I don't think it's color correction. Like right there, kind of grabbing it from both sides, it's right in here. So, and they're lines. So I don't feel like it's anyone trying to outline his leg or trying to fill it in with marker. That's kind of right in the middle, and it would be right there. It's very odd. So I'm going to attempt to try and get this out. I don't know how, and I don't know if I'll be successful. But if I can't really get it out, I'm not sure what to do about this book. I don't know if this is gradable. I don't know what CGC does with this. Because clearly it was traced on, and I know tracing, you take a huge hit if the book is traced. Like if something like that, there's a little color rub. But see, it's not even lining up. See right there, like the color doesn't line up with anything. Right, so here's it head on. See, it's like it's beyond right here. Now I'm starting to grab it and like fold the page. So I don't really want to handle the book anymore. But you know what I'm saying? Like the inside, the ink right here isn't. It's blank. I don't know what's going on. There's nothing there. It's just paper. So I'm going to try a little dry cleaning exercise. And if I'm successful in some areas, I'll have to be super careful. I've never dry cleaned the inside cover of a book before, but I will try it and show you my results. Okay, I'm back. My hand, wrist, and arm are exhausted. But I wanted to show you what happened. Now, you'll notice here, there's a new crease. I made that. Why am I creasing the book? Well, I'm learning how to dry clean, and I'm trying to be as careful as I can. And when I get a little too vigorous with my dry cleaning, and by dry cleaning, I mean erasing, sometimes the paper catches on my erasing stroke, and the page just starts to fold. And we can see right in there, as I showed you before, I created that fold right over his face, right there, from the middle of the U down to his face. Now, I believe that that's can be pressed, and I'm okay. Spine's still intact. Everything's just the way it was. And also, like a dummy, I didn't take a before photo and an after photo to show you the before and after, but this is the after video of the before video. So let's open this book and I'll show you how I did. So here is that same page. There's that crease that I created. So that was my one big mistake, is when I was dry cleaning, it caught. And you'll still see some remnants of it. I just couldn't get everything out. But it's not bad. And it's really just a product. Some of that you see is really just the product of the tracing or whatever happened. But I think I did okay. The page is pretty white. I don't see those streaks up and down the middle of the page. Now, let me show you over here. This is just straight up ink. I can't do anything about what is these 6 or 7 marks here that go around the edge of the book and in there. That's just ink. And you know what? I'm just not willing to do it. And if CGC or CBCS or anybody else dings me for that and says this book is not a 9.8 because of that right there and those things on the inside cover of a pristine book, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you'll get dinged on some, you know what I'm talking about with Marvel Comics in the newspaper. They have like these punch holes down here, and they're page tears, and they just say, it's manufacturing. So the only thing I can hope for is that when I send this book for grading, and I am sending it in because now I'm super curious to see what's going to happen. These little ink spots, I'm hoping they just categorize it as manufacturing, because honestly, it doesn't line up with the art. I don't know if you can really see there, but on the other side of the page, there's just a hand, right? So it doesn't even line up. There you can kind of see the outline of the hand. Anyway, it's not bleed through like somebody was doing color correction. That's typically what you would see, and you'd see it appear on the news print. And you don't. That's just typical newsprint. That's just the ink of the on the newspaper from 1982. But what I'm particularly proud of is in this area right here. I got all that out. You do see some history or remnants right there, but the straight obvious line that was going up and down, I got in there and somehow didn't detach the cover from the staple and so on. It's still an attached book, and I think I did the best I could as an amateur comic book presser, amateur comic cleaner. I'm proud that I was able to get most of that out. So is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Did I crease it? I certainly did. Am I going to press it again? Yeah. Am I going to press it a couple times? If I have to. I'm determined to get this book flat and crease free, and then it's going to go in. So back to the humidifier and the press, and we'll see how we did. All right, here we go. So this, just a quick recap. This is the third time this book is in the press. So I'm about to remove it. And this was after quite an extensive dry cleaning effort of the inside front cover, and where I had actually introduced new damage to the front cover. Unintentional, but it's happening as I'm learning to do this. So I'm very curious to see how the book turned out. Also with this, I added a significant amount of humidity to the front cover. To me, I felt like it can't get any worse, so I probably over humidified it. And then I laid it here actually and let it dry off for a little while. I'd say maybe about 10 minutes while the press heated up. So I made sure that the press hit 165 degrees. Then I let it sit for an additional 10 minutes with no book inside. And I let the book rest here post humidification to kind of dry off because I have over humidified books and it stains them. So here we go. We're going to look at this. Is the third time the charm? Let's find out. Oh, also, just for my own memory too, I did tighten this just slightly, like maybe a quarter turn. Just again, trying to do everything I could to make sure that that front cover was as flat and as crisp as possible. So I am very curious to see if this book is now ruined or done, or if I need to keep pressing it, or just give up. So the plate is off. The first top of the sandwich is off. And here we go. Just going to gently grab the whole thing and move it over here and start to take a look and inspect the book. Now, as always, I may have to move this to get more of a better view, but it looks pretty good. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell over here. Let me move this so that I have some better light so we can inspect some of the dimpling and wrinkles that were there before. So here we go. Okay, so I have not peeked yet at the book. So let's go over the trouble spots. And you know what? They're gone. You can barely see them. Like, look right under the K there. I mean, maybe it is gone, but remember that I created a flap or fold right there in the U. Again, you can see right there between the U and Destroyer Duck. As I move the light back and forth, you can see sort of the history of that damage right there, but it's so subtle. I mean, it's definitely there, but it's not. I mean, you really can't see it from just top down. You have to get down very close and start angling it. I don't really know how much more I could do to this book without potentially damaging it further. But here it is in the light. Remember, there was, I mean, these streaks were going all up and down the page. So you could still see some of them there. They're not completely gone. And again, those are those tracing remnants, like right there on the hand there. So I'm getting a super, super zoomed in right in there. But even if I move my finger across, it feels flat. Like I really don't see anything there. I feel like I want to call this book done. I mean, again, this is where I'm starting to get a little impatient as well. Like, I just don't know how. I mean, this book was severely wrinkled after the humidity, and it came out super nice and flat. And I think this is as good as I'm going to get it. So is it a 9.8? I don't know. I still think, honestly, no matter what I do, the color rub is going to hurt me there. I could totally see CGC giving this book a 9.4. But it might be worth a try just to see if I could get it above 9.4. But I think that I did the best I could. So not bad. Honestly, not bad. And then one last look at the inside cover and the dry cleaning that I did. And this is just sort of that final look at the page. I think it looks much better. There's still, again, some basic remnants, and I don't want to even hold the page anymore because I feel like I'm just going to keep increasing any sort of dimples or wrinkling. So again, you still see some history and some dirt and things in here that I just can't really get out. They're just going to be ink. But all in all, I mean, I think that area is I'm probably the most proud of, even though you can still see some evidence of tracing. So if I were a grader and I opened this and I was really zooming in and had the tools to do so, I would see sort of this line here and turn the book over and go, aha, there was tracing somewhere in here. and ending the book, like right in there. But this is way better, way better. I mean, if you go back to the first clip when I first started grading this, and there were just those streaks all over the place. Um, so I'm really proud of the work I did on this book. Does it mean it's going to get a 9.8? No, but I really really like sort of the lessons that I taught myself with this, what I learned, mistakes I made as I was dry cleaning when the page caught and created a new dent down the middle, and then being, I would say, pretty aggressive with the humidity. I mean, I want to try out some other books that don't have that tracing, but just have some general waviness and apply the same amount of humidity and go through the press the way that I did this book. So there you go. I'm going to add this to my next submission to CGC, and then we will see once and for all what some of these books that I've pressed get back from CGC and whether or not I'm doing these books justice or if I'm making them worse, or I don't know. It'll just be a fun experiment. So there you go. There's Destroyer Duck number 1. All right, I lied. I put the book back in the press for a 4th time. I don't know what else to say, but I'm too stubborn about this book. And as I was rebagging it and boarding it and putting it in a full back and kind of marking it as a book that I would send in for grading, again, I'm trying to take emotion out of it, trying to be honest and realistic. And the lines on the books and everything, I could still see them. They were very faint, but I could still see them there. So I ended up blasting it one more time with humidity and then turned the book face down. So in a lot of different pressing tutorials, different presses, different plates, different techniques, you will see pressers press a book twice, one cover up and then front cover down. So I figured it would be smart for me if I am going to press it twice, like, right? So this will be the 4th time, but this is the 2nd time front and back. Then if the lines are there, either I need a steel ball or some other rolling technique on a traced cover that I've never done before, or the book is permanently damaged by the tracing. And you know what? If the book came back as a 9, 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, whatever, not a 9.8, then lesson learned, I tried my best, and I would move on from the book. So here it is. This is the, I don't know what you call it. It's either the 4th press or the 2nd front and back, but this will be the final press. Unless I totally jack the book up, in which case, I don't know what to do. Okay, so there it is. We have the top plate and the top backing board and SRP. And the back cover, I don't know, I haven't really shown it in detail just because it's been super nice and crisp the whole time. And I'm just going to slide everything off the bottom plate here so I can move it over. Hopefully have it not slide completely off altogether. So now for the moment of truth, I'm going to flip the book over and look at that front cover. But I'm going to do it under the light so that we can all see the details together for the first time. Okay, I've moved the book under the light here, just as is. Again, here's that back cover. Looks really, really good. So it's nice to see that even in the press, it's taking care of things. A little bit of color break on that corner, but it does appear to be pretty flat there. Little bit of a corner issue there. Spine issue right there. But you see how how zoomed in I am there. But there's a little bit of a spine break tick right in that corner, or spine. I keep saying corner. A little bit of spine issue there on the back. But all in all, pretty good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the book over and hopefully not sweat too much on it. But this is it. This is the final press. This is the final work I'm going to do on the book. I'll turn it over. And here we go. So kind of digging into where the price is, because that's where you could start to see the lines. And they're just still there. It's very subtle, but as I shift back and forth in the light, they're just still there. There's just that sort of memory that just won't come out of the page. And again, I'm zoomed in, but I'm talking about right in here. And I am super zoomed in, really trying to catch this in the light. So these are very subtle creases on the cover now, which I'm happy about. But on the other hand, I can still see them. So that the one that I created through the dry press was right in there, and you could still see it. And I swear it almost starts to just remember as I take it out of the cold press. And now I'm losing it. So now I keep losing the issue back and forth in the light because it is pretty subtle. But right there between the hat and the U, as I shift the light back and forth, a little bit right there between the D and the U. Again, they're very subtle, very tiny, very faint, hard to catch, but I know they're there. And because I know they're there, I don't know. It looks good. There were some issues there by the hand. I think this is the best I can do. I really think that's going to be it for this book. Let's go down the spine one more time. So we saw the spine issues on the back. The front of the spine looks basically pristine. Again, there's that color rub now that I keep staring at, but there's nothing I can do about that. So again, to me, this book looks to be, well, if those front creases are gone, let's say, and I keep trying to shift to get like a better angle just to kind of see and be honest with it. If the if the cover creases are truly gone, then I think it has a shot at a 9.6, but it wouldn't shock me if it comes back a 9.4 just because of the, again, the issues on the inner cover down here. So I don't know. What grade would you give it? Am I being too lenient? Is this really like a 9 or a 9.2? I think it's a very crisp copy. I think it has a Hail Mary long shot at a 9.8, but I think this is the best that I could do with this book. I don't think there's a need to press it again. Again, every time you press, you're introducing risk. And I think that I've been as careful as I could. And I've also destroyed the book, no, I guess pun intended there, where I grab the paper with the eraser and introduce a major fold. And I think there now you can see, as maybe there's some additional oxygen that the book is catching, you can start to see a little bit of that line that I introduced there between the U and the hat. And again, that was caused by me when I was doing my dry cleaning, which again is erasing. But these folds and creases, they're extremely faint. So a professional grader who's looking at it like I am, in terms of zoom and light and other techniques to really look at the cover of a book, might pick those up or might see that they were there. And that's what I'm saying. I think the book maxes at 9.6. I think it maxes 9.6, and I think minimum this is 9.2. Again, I have a 9.0 book in a slab that I always use as a guide that has color breaking spine ticks, soft corners, and issues on the back cover, and that's a 9. This book does not have any of those things other than the couple of spine ticks on the back, but those are minor compared to what you would normally see on the front spine. I think, again, the color rub on the outside cover right there, the color rub on the inside, and a couple of the spine ticks on the back, and then some faint memories of the crease prevent this book from a 9.8. A 9.4 would be fair, I think, at this point. A 9.6 would be, I think, a nice grade to give the book if someone was feeling generous. But again, 9.2 to 9.6, nice range on this book. When honestly, I think originally I gave it an 8.5. And again, I think I was being generous because I didn't realize how bad those creases were when I graded the book. until I really got into the pressing. So it's possible I took an 8 or an 8.5 up to a 9.4. So I will take it. Really not bad. So there we go. That's it. I promise. Happy collecting, and see you next time.